Hey, what's happening, guys? It's Dave Brown here, and it is week 2 of combining major and minor pentatonics here at jamplay.com. This week, we're revisiting the E position, but mainly to talk about all the extra credit stuff I want you to do throughout this course, at least hope that you'll do at some point in your life. The bare minimum requirements of this course I want you to get into are just seeing how the positions line up, so basic exercises that we'll do again, as well as, hopefully just enjoying the licks that I'm giving you. So if anything, you just have a little fun with that. But today we're going to be talking about bends, we're going to talk about transposition, and just all those things that really drive this concept home, but are above and beyond what most people have time for within a week. So I'm not holding you to it, but you should know these things are there, so we should talk about them. First off, bends. I'm going to give you all the options essentially. So there's 3 types of bends. There's a half step. Well, there's more. I'm getting ahead of myself. There's half step bends. There's whole step bends, which are also known as full step or full. And then there's minor third bends. So half step bends are just 1 fret away. You're trying string slightly so it goes sharp as in the next note, the next fret. Whole step bends are trying to get 2 frets away. Minor thirds are trying to get 3 frets away. What I meant by there's other types of bends, you can do pre-bends and then release a note. You can get creative. This course is not about bending. Those are things that you should also look into, or maybe you can double down with this. You go through it, you can practice your bends along with this, but most people only really have so many hours in the week. So as long as you're lining up these scales, as long as you're practicing the licks and hopefully having fun with them, that's a start. That's a step in the right direction. But today is all about that will really drive all this home. So as far as bends goes, we're going to talk about them in terms of the 6th string, because that's how we're kind of lining up everything. The first scale degree, which is also the open string, an open string, so we're going to go up to the 12th fret. That's the root. You got step above it would be the 2nd scale degree. So, there again on the 6th string, not the most practical to do bends. To do them, but most of the bends tend to be on the strings 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4. So just because you can bend doesn't mean you should. If you can, you figure it out. You might. That's why it's good going through and kind of testing it, because a bend that you can do on one string or one place on the neck might be difficult on another string elsewhere on the neck. So these are the sort of things you're testing out so that you don't go to figure them out on stage, kind of a thing. You can also get a minor third bend from that root. Now, again, the minor third bends are pretty intense, and so for simplicity's sake, I might play them, but they're not going to really be a part of this course whatsoever. But I will tell you they're there. There's one off the root we just discovered, and there's a couple more, but we'll get to them in order. 2nd scale degree, speaking of order. 1 fret away from the 2nd scale degree is a minor third. or the flat 3, I should say. It's the flat 3. So that's always a good thing to bend to. You can get a whole step bend to the major 3rd. Don't try that at home. Then you can also get a minor 3rd bend off of the 2nd scale degree. Again, we're not going to really be doing this a lot, but this is a really cool bend that combos well. I'll just mention while we're here. So that's the root in the key of E. If I take the 2nd scale degree and I bend it up a minor 3rd, and then I go back under it and bend it, mute it, and then bend it up into the major 3rd. So it's like, in context. That's a really common thing that you'll hear like Allman Brothers do, Derek Trucks kind of a thing. 2 up to the 4, back up to the 3. All essentially major scale things. The 4 you can consider minor pentatonic, but if we're thinking in terms of Mixolydian, it's still technically major. Anyway, flat 3 comes next. You can get a half step away into the major 3rd. So that I find is really B.B. King, like bending the flat 3 into the major 3rd, depending on the context, but generally speaking. You can also go a whole step away from the flat 3 up to the 4. And so you should be able, especially with bends that are like half steps and whole steps, you should be able to like kind of go, kind of walk up through them and walk back down them. That's a really good exercise. We'll say that's it for the flat 3. Technically, you could bend the flat 3 up a minor 3rd into the sharp 4 flat 5, aka blue note. That one doesn't come up too often, so we're just going to skip past that. Bends off the major 3rd. You can do a half step away to the 4 scale degree. Right? You can do a whole step away to the sharp 4 flat 5. Again, that one I wouldn't say is the most practical, but you can also do a major or minor 3rd bend up to the 5th. So what? Yeah, it's not easy. It's a good thing to practice, to be able to walk through each individual scale degree like that. But anyway, yeah, the major 3rd I would only really bend to the 4 or the 5. The 4 bends nicely into the sharp 4 flat 5, so that's at the 5th fret. Usually you only hear the sharp 4 flat 5 in context of like a minor run, but you can kind of combine them. And the 4 will go up a whole step to the 5. Again, there's going to be different tension on different strings, so you want to practice this anywhere and everywhere you can. We will do more of that later. Bends off the 5, 7th fret. You can go a whole step up to the 6, or you can go a minor 3rd up to the flat 7. That's a really great blues bend if you can do the 5 up to the flat 7. Again, we're not dealing with flat 3s so much in this course, but that's a really good, you know. You know, it's a really great bend. You'll hear like Freddie King kind of. Really good one to do when you're not trying to hurt yourself and doing minor 3rd bends, like we're not in this course. So that does it for 6. No, I'm sorry, we were off on 5. Getting ahead of myself. On the 6th scale degree, you can go up a half step to the flat 7. Right? You can do a minor 3rd up to the root. that one I wouldn't even really bother with so much. So to recap, your root can go up a whole step, or can go up a minor third to the flat 3. We're gonna basically only use a whole step on the root. Okay. Bends off the 2, you can do the flat 3, you can do the 3, you can do the 4. Those are all really good. So we'll keep all of those. Except I don't want you to do minor third bends. So practice that on your own time. So really, we're just gonna focus on half step and a whole step off of the flat 3. Strike that. This is why live is live. Let's start over. 1, we're gonna do whole steps off of 1. 2, we're gonna do flat 3s and 3s off of that. So half step and whole steps. You can do the 4 and it sounds good, but not today. Flat 3, we're gonna go up to the major third, half step away, or the 4, a whole step away. Okay. 3s, you can do bend it up. We'll primarily just focus on the 3 up to the 4. Major third up to the sharp 4, flat 5 doesn't happen too often. Again, you can go all the way up to the 5 too, but that's good. 4, you can do a half step or a whole step bend into the sharp 4 or 5. 5, sharp 4 or flat 5, you can go up a whole half step into the 5. 5 now. We'll talk whole steps to the 6. Again, you can go a minor third up to the flat 7, but we'll talk whole steps up to the 6. And then bends off of the 6, we're just gonna go a half step up to flat 7. Okay, and bends off the flat 7, you can go up a whole step to the root, which I might have forgot to mention, just a whole. That's one of the best bends. I don't know how I forgot it, but I did. Human. So those are all the bends you can talk about. It's really good to not overwhelm yourself, but to take your time to go do these string group exercises that we're gonna do again. And while you're there, focus on like 1 string or 2 and maybe even 3 out of all of them where you can do any of the bends. So again, you're not taking on the whole position at once. You're spending some quality time there. Let's review the positions really quick. Again, we're going to be in the key of E. So we're going to place our middle finger at the 12th fret. And this is our major scale position. So we're going 12, 14, 11, 14, 11, 14, 11, stretching up to 13 with our middle finger. Slightly shift to 12, 14, 12, 14. Okay. Starting on that same 12th fret, you can do the minor scale, which would be 1, 4, as far as your fingers are concerned, 12, 15, 12, 14, 12, 14, 14, 12, 15, 12, 15. Okay. So if we were to focus on string group 1, we would have 1, 2, and 3, I should say. We'll start down at the 11th fret on the 3rd string. That would be the 2nd scale degree. You got the 3rd on the 13th fret, 5th on the 12th fret of the 2nd string, up to the 6th on the 2nd string. Root on top, 2nd scale degree right above that. Okay, so let's just stop there for a second. We're going to talk about the notes that we can bend. We said we can bend the root up a whole step. So you could do that. It's not always as practical. Usually you want to, even to make your life simpler, it's easier to think about the notes because there's 2 notes per string on the pentatonic scale. So it's usually easier to think about the higher notes as the ones bending. However, you will bend the lower ones too. But if you're just trying to reduce the equation, that's not a bad idea to think about. So again, if we're on the top 2 strings, I would think about bending the 2nd scale degree up a minor second, or major second, or half step or whole step, I should say. Okay. Again, when you bend these up a half step, the 14th frets, you're getting the minor pentatonic notes right there, which both of those can be bent up a whole step as well. And then the 5 can be bent up a whole step. I said a whole step off of, you're not doing no, you can do both whole step. Anyway, overthinking. 5th scale degree, aka the 12th fret on the 2nd string, can be bent up a whole step to the 6th. So you got that. And then on the third string, you can bend that second scale degree into the minor third. And it's going to be really tempting to resolve it to 14, even though we're not part of that string group. Or you can do a major third. Again, usually you're bending up. When I'm just playing a half step or even a whole step with my index finger, I tend to drag it down. Right. And then this note, we said we're going to bend it into the 4. And that's pretty much it. Now, if we're thinking minor, it's going to go up to 12, 14, 12, 15, 12, 15, right? So on the top 3 strings, you can bend the first string up a whole step, or a half step, or a whole step. So you half step into the major third. That's that BB King thing. There's the 4. Bending flat 3 into 4, and then back into 3. Again, that's going to be kind of what our lick is today. That's going to be a really good thing. Flat 7 goes up very nice to the root. 5 was already game, we already talked about it. Root was already game, we already talked about it. So then we're left with flat 3, which can go into the major third. We have an octave there, that's why that came up twice. You can bend into the 4, or you can go up to the 4 and bend into the 5. Sharp 4, flat 5. And so what happens when we start to do this is the scales just start to blend together. And that's the idea. That's what we're ultimately going for, is fluidity between the two, right? It's hard to gain that right off the bat, and I don't expect you to, but you'll notice, because essentially the exercise right now that we're going to go through is we're going to dedicate 2 measures to each. So the first 2 measures are going to be major, second 2 measures are going to be minor, staying on that string group. First, I'm just going to play the scales very blandly, but then I'm going to open it up to some free form, and I'll throw some bends in there. Again, the bends are kind of extra credit. So if you're feeling comfortable, throw them in there. If not, kind of practice them on your own on the side and know they're there and work your way into it for sure. Yeah. But as you go, I mean, like, even if you're, okay, so if you're on the major scale for the first 2 measures and you're bending, if you bend the 2 up a half step, now you're in minor. If you bend the 6 up a half step, now you're in minor. So again, there's a lot of, it's just going to flow back and forth between those 2 fairly easy. Last week, I think I did it against rock. This week, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to do it against the funk and E. 2 bars each. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I'm playing quarter notes. Looky me. Looky me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now minor. Back to major. To minor. Same thing, but I'm going to go down minor this time. Again, same thing. I'm just kind of messing around if I'm on the first string. We can honestly, like, we can do a couple of them, right? So we can go, let's just do 1 string at a time. So we'll just go 1. Yeah, and so you basically, you got whole steps and half steps off of the top note. You still got the root. The root is very consistent between those 2. That's why it's good to take a look at 1 string, 2 strings at a time, kind of a thing. On the second string, we only have a half step bend there. Oh, I wasn't even doing the root. So anyway, I'm kind of flowing back and forth now. The 5 can go up a whole step, and then the 6 can go up a half step. So you get the idea on the 3rd string. You get both of those, and then you get whole step there into the major 3rd, right? Then you also have, I ran on track, just kidding. So, while I got it stopped, you got a half step into here, you got a whole step to the major 3rd, you got a half step into the major 3rd, whole step into that 4th. So basically, moral of the story is, besides the major 3rd, the major 3rd is going to go up a half step, but this can go up a half step and a whole step. This can go up a half step and a whole step, and your 4 can go up a half step and a whole step. So there's a lot of ground to work with right there. Basically, when you add them all together, like I've kind of shown, 1, 2, sharp 2, flat 3, 3, 4, sharp 4, flat 5, 5. All those notes are a game. That's like one big chromatic gauntlet, but there's structures within, and it's good to know how and when to resolve. So this 1 string would just be like, yeah, that's the idea. And then, you know, once you're comfortable, you want to take the time to get comfortable with each string, but then have some fun. And it's just a drone, so the idea of 2 bars each is a really good exercise at first, but we're also trying to blend them, so have fun with it, you know? Anyway, it's kind of just showing you like how you can kind of freeform over it. You want to lose yourself in it. You want to take your time and lose yourself in it. That's true string group 1, 2, and 3. Let's move on to string group 2, 3, and 4. We already covered strings 3 and 2. So really we just got to check out 4, which is 6 and 1 for major, flat 7 and 1 for minor. So major would be, minor would be, and since we've already talked about it, 6 can go up a half step to the root, flat 7 can go up a whole step to the root. I'm sorry, 6 can go up a half step to the flat 7. Flat 7 can go up to the root, but again on the 4th string, that's not the most practical thing in the world. So we'll explore. But yeah, so I'm just gonna play through the exercise of just playing eighth notes going through each string group. 2 bars each. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. start again, but now I'm gonna go, since I've already stopped, because apparently that's what we're doing today. I am gonna go up major, down to minor. Here we go. You know what? I didn't get that full click. 2, 3. Here we go now. So like now, you know, I'm not necessarily soloing, but I'm just trying to get a little more faster, a little more creative. Okay, let's get the bends involved. So. Albert King thing would be like bending the 4 up to the 5, and then the 3 up to the sharp 4 flat 5, and then playing the flat 3 to 1. So you get the idea, again, like each little group you can spend all day on, just really exploring how they line up, as well as you know, where the bends to kind of make them go back and forth. You know, sometimes you're strategically thinking only minor and then only major, but again, when those bends start going, it really provides some opportunity to blend like the wind blows, if that makes any sense. It doesn't. Let's keep going. We're going on to string group 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Again, we've gone over strings 3 and 4, so now we just got 5, which has major, third, 5, or 4 and 5 for minor. So major would be minor. Okay, and as far as bend goes on the 5th string, we do that half step there. And again, I'll repeat this because it's worth repeating. When you're on string 6 with that flat 3, that's often played on the, you know, 5 frets below it on the 5th string. So you get this flat 7, 1, flat 3, kind of a little bit of a cut through sort of a scenario. I know it's not part of that traditional position, because normally we go major would go 12, 14, 11, and 14. The minor would go 14, 12, 15, 12. But you could go 14, 12, 10, all in the same string. And then grab the root. And then it's conducive to flow. And flow is always what we're going for. So it's worth getting comfortable with that. This is the last string group we're going to do today. We could do, you know, 4, 5, and 6, but I think you get the idea. It's not as important today. So if you want to be thorough, please go back and do that. If not, I'm going to do the same exercise again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. down minor. And major. I'm gonna have a little fun. Notice I'm starting to play almost, I'm not even waiting to go major minor. That right there is more like a mixed linear scale. It's literally mixed. You can do that little step bend to the 2 there. Again, you know, you can always listen for what people do and try and mimic it. That's always worth doing, but which is why I'm kind of doing it. But you want to take the time on your own to just explore against these tracks and the different feels as well as the other keys, which we're about to get to in a second. It's all worth practicing, but as long as you're getting the least how they line up in those 2 positions, how those 2 positions line up, that's really the biggest takeaway. I keep saying I'm a broken record. We got a really simple lick today that's conducive to all 4 of these with slight alterations. It's going to circle the major 3rd. So essentially you're going 4, and pretty much all these you're going 4, flat 3. Often if you can do it all on one string, you would hammer and pull. So, you know, 4, pull to flat 3, hammer onto major 3rd. And then you can resolve it up the octave to the root or down the octave to the root. It's like Son of a Preacher Man. I don't remember exactly, but it's that's that common thing, but it's gonna happen a lot, so it's worth doing it like down here too. So again, here's what it would sound like in the course of the blues. You would play like a triplet on B4, so it's like 1, 2, 3. Okay. And you can also, again, this is definitely extra credit, but you can explore where it's placed rhythmically. So I'll demonstrate that in a second, but let's just hear this in the key of E. 1, 2, 3, 2, down the octave, moving down the octave and going up an octave. Okay, so that's how it's found in this position. You can also do a slight stretch, but I wouldn't. I'm getting him. I don't do that. Okay. So yeah, that's how it would apply against the blues. Let's hear it against country and funk. Again, super easy today because this is just going to be a universal vocabulary thing that I'm going to want you to try in each position. And if I have time in each lesson, I will try and demo that every single time. In country, I'm going to have you play 40 and a 1. Actually, I was mentioning rhythmic displacement. So what would that be? Right now, the lick is starting on 4. But you can displace, I think it sounds really good if you hold off on the downbeat of 4 and play this. So it'd be like 1. And let me start it. 1, 2, 3, 4. As opposed to 4. Just has a different feel. What about 4 and? What about on B2? 1. Again, that's over the 4 chord. Let me hold off. So that doesn't really work. 1. What about 3? 2. So hopefully what these serve as is, first of all, just a general North Star as to where you're at in all these positions. But point of reference for all of it. But also, hopefully a phrasing jumping off point so that it kind of sparks some ideas. Like you play this little thing and then you go, okay, I hear these notes after, I'm going to try and find those notes, and hopefully start developing your own ear and your licks, all that fun stuff. Okay, so with country, I have it on 4 E and A, as well as rock, or I'm sorry, as well as funk. So here's country, 2, 3. Here it goes one more time. And again, you can. It's a very, it happens a lot, especially in this kind of feel. You often get this thing like, now I'm a horrible teacher. I can't think of the guitar player that was playing with Elvis. That's horrible. I should know that. But very. Happens a lot in country, or rock-based country. Grateful Dead will do a lot too, kind of a thing. But anyway, so that's it against country. Same exact phrasing for funk. Let's hear it. But it'll feel different too. One more time. So that's it. Rock, we're gonna place it on B3, so it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. It's all about just hearing it, how it sounds again. Rock tends to be more wanting more minor pentatonics, so that's just the feel. But again, you're just figuring out where to place it in context of a track and slightly altering rhythm perhaps to accommodate the feel. But that's it. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that same lick and I'm gonna transpose it into the other keys. So this is something that's really simple for this course. It's not too bad because all we're doing is we're moving to C and we're moving to A. And since we're already comfortable with the shapes, all the things relative to each other will fit in. So for instance, I'm gonna go back, we're gonna do it all in the key of A now. So if this is E up here, A will be down here, okay? As we move away from the E position, this will probably get harder to do, but the E position is very convenient because you're used to placing this basic bar chord, right? And so if we were to play that like 4 flat 3 3 1, or okay, that's what it would sound like. You should also, I definitely recommend doing the 2-string group thing, 3-string group thing against these other keys. Because again, the more keys you do this in, you'll start to see it all relative to the chord shape. And then even if you're not great at theory or knowing all the names on the fretboard, maybe you just know this position very well and you kind of see the things you can kind of pick up on. Because of you're seeing shapes relative to each other, essentially. So yeah, here's blues in A doing today's lick. 1, 2, 3. That's not going to work very well over the 5 or the 4 chords, so I'm just going to keep going. Here's blues in C. So actually, before I do that, blues in C would be all based around here. Again, we're just in A, so we had. Even that's a good exercise, just going up one scale, coming down the other, and vice versa. But again, if we're in the key of C, the 4, and the E shape is really convenient too, because your middle finger is the major third, so kind of you can see it physically kind of sticks out. So you're always kind of surrounding that middle finger. Sneaking Sally through the alley kind of a thing. And there it is right there. Here we go on the key of C. 1, 2, 3. Pretty easy, again, if we have time, we'll go back and do some of the 3-string group thing just so you can practice that. But it should be fairly straightforward. A lot of what we're doing is just placing shapes relative to shapes. It's better if you know all the note names in every key, obviously, knowing all the scale degrees, but at least if anything, you can memorize the scale degree, because even if your theory isn't great, and even if your knowledge of the fretboard isn't great, you can always, especially if we're only thinking in terms of scale degrees, every time you go to a different key, you don't have to think about new notes, you can think about scale degrees, which are always universal. So that's helpful. Plus, when you're thinking terms of scale degrees, you're also hopefully training your ear, knowing what the scale degree sounds like. So let's play it. We're gonna go, where'd I leave off? We just did blues, let's go to country and funk. Why won't you let me in? Okay, here's country in A again. Let's try it. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Here, let me start again. So it's coming in 4. 1, 2, 3. Nah, I never get that first one. 1, 2, 3. Here we go again. Okay, same exact thing in C. Okay, sorry. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Again. Great. Awesome. Moving on to funk. 2, 3. Oh, hold up. Sorry, we're back in A. Let's try that again, shall we? 1, 2, 3. Why do I only get the 1? 2, 3. Let's do it again. Let's go to C. 1, 2, 3. Wow, I have to transpose. 1, 2, 3. Let's go to the lower on side, do that backwards. Let's do that same one again. So you get the idea, it flows pretty well. That leaves us with, we just did all of them, didn't we? No, we gotta go to rock. I know what's going on. Rock in the key of A. Again, this one's gonna start on 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3. Okay. First in the key of A, then we'll move on to the key of C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You can do it all day if you want. Let's try it in 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Let's try that again. I messed up for you. 1, 2, 3. Wow, Dave. We're doing it again. So it's all relative to that chord. Okay? That's how easy transposing is on the guitar. Again, you're playing different notes and you should know what those are eventually, but that's another course. Great, so that's it for today's lick. Now I'd like to go back and place last week's licks in the different keys really quick before I sign off and take questions. So just to recap, last week's blues lick was 1, 2, 3. So I'm doing flat 3 into 3, 5, 6, 1, flat 7, 5, flat 3, 1. So again, that's all right out of that E shape. So if we go to A, we got C. Let's hear it against those tracks, shall we? We shall. You don't really have an option, do you? Because I'm running the show. Blues in A. 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's all I'm recording. We're going to see it. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. And that's it. That's all we got. That's all she wrote. So, and by she I mean me. Again, you want to find these in every single place you can. Some of the other extra credit throughout this course is taking previous week's licks that worked in one shape and moving them to other shapes, okay? And we'll do that as much as I can, as much as we have time for. But while I'm here, you can also, I forget if I kind of maybe hinted at it last week, but there's might be another spot in the position or you can play that same exact lick, right? So this goes flat 3 into 3, up to 5, up to 6, up to 1, flat 7, flat 5, flat 3, down to 1. So it kind of ascending up to the root from the flat 3 and then working its way back down to the root an octave below. So if that was the case, if we're in the key of E, that would be you know, you would have to, so essentially the first half of the lick is major, then I would readjust for minor. So you could play it there. So in this case, it's really good to be figuring out. Some of them might not flow as well. Like you'll notice it for the country lick, it's not as easy, or the funk lick, but it works well. So that's just something to think about, and I will point it out again. But I'm gonna keep moving. We're gonna go to the country lick. Country lick was flat 3 up down to 1, 6 to 5, flat 7 to 6 to 5, flat 3 into 3 up to 1, which is basically part of our lick today, right? All based off of the target fret of 12. So if we're in the key of A, you got, okay, let's try it there, and whoa, no, guys. Good thing I come with backups. Okay, so if we're in the key of C, let's try in all 2 other keys. So we're going to country in the key of A. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moves faster than I remember. Couple more times. Let's do it in the key of C. Sound good, like the major 2 bend into the flat 3, so like slight variance, you get the idea. The funk lick, well, let's see if we can play that elsewhere. So it's going flat 3, so in the key of A, flat 3, yeah, flat 3 down to 1, 6, 5, flat 7, 6, 5, flat 3 into 1. So you know, again, some of these have a different all of them have a different physicality if you place it elsewhere. So it might take some extra work. What might feel easy in one spot, not so much in the other. You know, because that's all based on, here was all these hammers and pulls, so it's not as easy as you. Let's see if I can play it fast enough. Probably not. And C. Not bad. So you can, you know, you want to find it every place you can. Okay. We're almost done. We're gonna go to the funk lick. So the funk lick was flat 3 into 3, up to 5, 6, up to 1, down to flat 7, back down to 5. Very similar thing to today's lick. 4, flat 3 to major 3, 1, flat 7, 5, 7, flat 7 into 6, flat 3 into 1. A little longer than the rest of them, but that's okay. 1. So that's essentially our lick. If we were to play it down in the key of A, what's nice about this is it's written currently everything relative to each other. So if you don't look at your left hand in the frets, you can kind of trick your mind into thinking you're on the correct fret sometimes, even though it doesn't feel like you're in the right place. Okay, let's hear that funk like in the key of A. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty straightforward. Let's do it in the key of C. Again, this one I was looking over. It's a little more expansive, so you could try and take it up the octave. Then you'd have to like jump way up here, right? So it's there. I'm not even gonna try and play that one, but it's, again, even if if you never played in real time, but you're just taking the time to translate the scale degrees into another part of the position or other positions entirely, that is a step in the right direction. You're testing your knowledge of theory, you're testing your knowledge of the fretboard, kind of a thing. It's a puzzle. It's fun. Let's check out the rock lick. So in the key of E was 1 and 2. So it's 6 into flat 7 up to 1, flat 3 down to 2 into 1, flat 3 hammered into major third, very similar thing that we're doing today. 1 down to flat 7 to 5, and then 6 bent up, tweak it, and then vibrato on the root. Let's hear it. So if we were to place that down here, again, it's kind of starting 3 frets below kind of where you would think the root would be. So for here, 1. Okay, or in C. Let's do it. Here's an A. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 1. To C. Gotta change the track though, don't I? 2, 3, 4. Maybe you just want to take the time to practice your scales. Guys, gals, you get the idea. Hopefully that wasn't too overwhelming for you. Let's take some questions, and just in case it was. Hello, boys and girls. We got some questions, so I am here to answer them for you. As I'm learning bending, can I use my tuner to test my accuracy in the bend? Absolutely, of course. I Ideally, you want to be able to hear it, and also feel it in the back of your hand, knowing how much tension it involves, / seeing how far you have to bend. Again, each string has a different tension, so a half step on, the first string is not going to be the same distance force you're going to have to use on another string. But yeah, the tuner is definitely helpful for sure if you need to get the foot in the door. You can also just like play the target note first and just see if you can keep it in your ear. Honestly, even if you're not great at that, that's something that, there's only one way to get good at it, so you might as well practice it. But yes, the tuner can help. Did I mean Scotty Moore for the Elvis guitarist? I did. Tell him what he's won. There's no prize, sorry. Let's see. Does there count a time? Thank you, by the way. That was helpful. I don't know why I couldn't think of them. Does there come a time when you no longer need to be conscious of intervals and the ear alone moves the fingers? Yes. Hopefully. Depends on how much work you put in. There are two factors that are going into this. You need to know the physical layout, and you need to know what those intervals sound like, so that when you hear an interval, you physically know how to find it immediately. Both of those elements are key, and until you get both of them pretty strong, there's still going to be some kind of searching around here and there, I'm sure, as you're getting going. But yeah, I feel like it's the most important part is hearing it first, but what good is hearing it if you don't know where to find it, kind of a thing. What good is finding it if you don't know what it's going to sound like before you play it, with their powers combined. So I believe that does it for questions today. So any last minute takers, we'll hear you out, but other than that, I think we might call this a day. Hope you enjoyed the second lesson. Next week we will be moving on from the E shape. So get your last minute fill of the E shape while we're here, and we'll see you next week, unless he lets me know in any 2 seconds. But as far as I'm concerned, this is me signing off. Have a wonderful week, guys.